In this video, we're going to be solving one-step equations using either addition or subtraction. Then we're going to justify each step and then check our answers. So our first problem here says x minus 3 equals negative 5. And so we need to move that minus 3 over to the other side. And to do so, we're going to use the inverse of subtraction, which is addition. So by adding 3 to both sides, we are using the equality property of addition. And that's how we're justifying each step. So what does that leave us with? Well, over here, because addition and subtraction are inverses, that's going to go away. And we're going to have x equals negative 2. And again, the justification, because we're supposed to justify each step, this is going to be the addition property of equality. And now we just need to check our answer. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the negative 2 and we're going to plug it into the x's spot. So this is where our x is at. So we have x minus 3, and that should give us a negative 5. So when we replace our x with the negative 2 that we got, over on this side we have a negative 5, and we see that our negatives 5s match, and so it worked out. And so here we have that x equals negative 2 is the solution. Let's move over to our next example where we've got decimals. So here we have 0.9 equals y plus 2.8. And here we're going to try and get the y by itself. So we need to think of what can we do to get rid of the addition. And so we're going to use the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. So we're going to subtract 2.8 from both sides, which is going to eliminate the 2.8 on our right side, which is going to give us a negative 1.9 on our left, and that's what we're going to have equal to y. And for justification, we're going to say that this is the subtraction property of equality. And now we're ready to check our answer. So we're going to be replacing the y of our equation with our negative 1.9. So we'll plug that in, and then we'll look over here on our right side, and if we take negative 1.9 and we add that with 2.8, we're going to get 0.9 as our solution. And we see that those match, and so negative 1.9 is our solution for y. Now the next example we have is n plus 3 equals negative 7. So we're going to do the inverse of addition here, which is our subtraction property of equality. And we're going to be left with n equals negative 10. And so we're ready to check that and make sure that that is in fact what we're going to get. So we're going to replace our n in the equation with the negative 10 that we got. And then we're going to go ahead and do the math over here on this left-hand side. And we see that negative 10 plus 3 is in fact negative 7. And that because these then match, n equals negative 10 is the solution for that problem. Let's move on down to our next problem. So we have negative 6.5 equals p plus 3.9. So we need to do the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. So we will subtract 3.9 from both sides, and that's going to be our subtraction property of equality. And so we're left with a negative 10.4 equals p. And so now we're ready to check that out and see if that's what we get. And so we're going to replace our p in our equation with the negative 10.4 that we got. And if we look at the math over here on the right-hand side and we simplify that, we see that we get a negative 6.5 and those two numbers are the same, so they check out. And so negative 10.4 is going to be our solution there. Now let's come over and let's take a look at E. So here we have G minus 1/3 equals negative 2/3. Now, just because it's a fraction doesn't mean that anything has changed. All of our steps are the same. We need to get rid of the subtraction, so we'll do its inverse, which means that we're going to add 1/3 to each side. And remember, that's our addition property of equality. So rule of inverses mean those are going to go away, our 1/3 cancel out, and we're left with G equals, now if we have a negative 2/3 and we add a positive 1/3 to that, that's going to leave us with a negative 1/3. And so now we just want to go ahead and check our answer. We'll check it over here. There's a little bit more room. And so we're going to take and we're going to replace G with our answer that we got. All right, so we'll take that negative 1/3 that we got as our answer. We're going to plug that in. And then if we look at the math here on the left, we're going to see that we have negative 1/3 take away 1/3, which is going to give us a larger negative answer. So we're going to have a negative 2/3. And when we compare that to what we should have, we see that it's a match, which means that G equals negative 1/3 is our solution. And we're finished.